Well, hello there again, my friends. Karlis here. We're back again. So, moving on with the stress management week. Next topic, next question. How does stress impact our health? Good question. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that because I get the chance to share again some very, very great value with you, my friends. So, in short, I could just say bad. I could just say, hey, stress badly impacts our health. Boom, video done. And I would have made the main point I want to make in this video, but I'll go deeper into this and share what's happening behind the scenes and how our body functions, so to say. So, as you know, I like to look at our past. I like to look at how humans lived in the past, and so this video is no exception. I will be also looking at how we lived in the past. Is that, as I was already saying in the previous video, stress is essentially just a buildup of available energy. Back in the past times, we were either the predator, and we had to chase down the prey, and our goal was to get down the prey, and therefore stress was the available energy for our muscles, for our extremities, to be able to run, to fight, to chase, or we were the prey, and we had to survive, essentially, either by running away or fighting our way for survival. Again, we need that energy in our extremities, in our muscles, for us so that we can protect ourselves. But what happens is that if we find ourselves 10,000 years or 30,000 years back in the past, we're, let's say, alone, and we suddenly see a lion or big cat or any big animal, predatory animal coming out of a bush, and if we have a viral infection in our bodies, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is the body's going to be like, oh shit, we got to survive. And it's going to completely, essentially, the bigger the threat or the bigger the perceived threat, that's also the one I think, which is applicable nowadays, is that we may not have the same real threats we had, but we still create the same perceived threats nowadays, and those perceived threats function is the same as if they were real threats. So the bigger the threat, the more the body is gonna prioritize, again, sending as much energy as possible to our extremities and withdrawing any other energy that is not necessary for immediate survival. So what that means, if there's a tiger chasing us, and if we also have a viral infection in our body, what's going to do is it's going to stop all the healing process for the viral infection, because there is no point in how healed the viral infection is if we're dead after 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, if we're dead, there's no point how much bacteria, how much viruses we have in our bodies. So that's what happens in the process of stress. In the process of stress, the body essentially shuts down the internal vital processes, rejuvenation processes of healing, processes of replenishment, and it's going to give us energy so that we can run, so we can fight, so we can survive, so we can move. So that's the whole point of it. And here's the interesting thing, is that stress by itself isn't necessarily bad. I would even say is that short-term periodic stress is very beneficial actually for our survival, because every time we experience stress and every time we experience any kind of shock, we essentially adapt to it. We become stronger to it. That's how adaptation works. That's how evolution works. That's how because humans are highly adaptable creatures, and so when we experience stress, we become stronger. But here's the other part of the stress. This only applies, and it's required for this to function well. It's required for us to spend the bigger chunk of the time in the state of rest, because the natural state of everything in life is rest and peace. Even when we look at the predatory animals, either you go to savannah and you look at the bigger cats, or you go to the forest, you look at bears and wolves, or doesn't matter where you look for, or even when you look for underwater, when you look at sharks. Most of the time, these animals, they spend in peace, they spend in rest. And only periodically is that they will voluntarily create the stress so they could chase their prey. So even the predatory animals who are on the top of the food chain, so to say, because they eat everybody else, even they spend most of their lives in peace and in rest. you know. And that's the vital part, because when we are in peace and rest, again, as I've said a couple of times, but I'll repeat this as much as I need to, is that only when we're at peace, in state of rest, can we truly heal. Can we truly replenish ourselves? Can we truly rejuvenate ourselves? Can we truly revitalize ourselves? And instead, but what happens? Okay, what happens if the stress is a long-term and chronic stress? Well, as you would expect, while the stress continues, while the stress energy is built up, not only does it mess up our brains in the way that it messes up our minds, messes up our ability to think rationally, to think logically. Oh, one more thing that I'll say to this just afterwards. But also, as I was saying, it stops the healing process, because when in a time of stress, the body doesn't prioritize this internal deep healing. In a time of stress, the body prioritizes survival and available immediate energy. And one more thing about stress, why is it so, you could say, destructive or harmful, is that the higher the stress, the higher the stress that we experience, the more we're trying to hold on to what is familiar and to what is known. Because again, it all comes from this primal need for survival. Why? Is that whatever is more familiar, whatever is more known, whatever is more safe, even if it's harmful for us, even if it's unpleasant, even if it's something that doesn't really bring us happiness, bring us joy, or even bring us good, in time of stress, the brain, will prioritize sticking to what is known, sticking to the solutions that is known, sticking to paths that is known, sticking to actions that is known, sticking to ways of thinking that is known, all of this for the sake of survival. So what happens is that when we're in a state of stress, we essentially block out our learning capabilities. Because, well, again, what is learning? Learning is experiencing something new and, integration of something new, so of new information into our being. But when we are in a state of stress, learning, for our brains, learning is not that important anymore. And the studies have been shown that in order for us to learn the most, we have to be in a state of peace and calmness. And then there is the best retention when it comes to memory, there's the best retention of the information, there is the best absorption of this information. Again, because when we feel at peace, when we feel calm, when we feel safe, when we have taken care of this primal need for survival, only then can we essentially go out of our comfort zone and experience new things, experience the unfamiliar, experience new information, and let all these new experiences come into us. And here the thing about the chronic long-term stress is, and this I can say with full certainty, it's one of the quickest and most surest and most proven ways for you to get sick, and for any person to get sick. Chronic long-term stress, without a doubt, 100% certainty I can say that, brings illness not only to the body, but also to the mind and also to the spirit and the soul, No doubt, fully certain of that. And I remember, I can share just my own experience, is that there's time when I was working in my previous job, and let's say it was an environment of high stress and a lot of things that were moving and happening, and high pressure environment. And for a time, you can do these things and do and experience these without much problem. But what happened to me is that so normally I would get up at about 6:30 in the morning, but I started waking up between 3 and 4 in the night. I started waking up and I couldn't sleep anymore. And it was so weird for me when it first happened, because normally these things never happened to me. Normally I was, if I had to place myself in a category between light sleepers and sleepers that can sleep deeply and not really be disturbed by other external noises, I'd always place myself in the category where I could just sleep peacefully, not really disturbed. Sure, yeah, I can sleep well. So when I was just waking up between 3 and 4 in the morning and I couldn't sleep anymore, I was tired. No, it was not that I wasn't tired and I was like ready for the day. No, in fact, I wanted to sleep so much, but I just couldn't sleep. And that went on for about a week until I was so exhausted and so tired. I was like, okay, I have to take some days off. I went to the doctor's place, get a note, and spent the week at home, just really really resting and engaging in relaxing activities. And now when I look back, I see that it was logical that it happened. I was overstressed, and I was keeping so much of the stress within me. I wasn't really engaging then in any type of like relaxing activities, like, okay, I'll come home and, sit and do nothing. But at the same time, I still had the stress. I didn't realize back then that this energy was still sitting there and I had to use this energy. I thought back then, if I just sit and completely ignore everything else around me and just completely ignore the life around me, I'll be fine. But turns out it doesn't work like that. But yeah, and I see nowadays so often, that's like one of the most prevalent things nowadays is the stress that build up. We're living nowadays in this world, and which is, I would say, overstimulated, and we have so much stimulation when it comes to new information, things flying, the speed of things, not only in the business, in the life, how the technology is going. The world is moving faster, and with this, it also essentially creates more stress. But in the end, it is our responsibility to take care of ourselves, to really value ourselves, to truly take deep care of ourselves, and make sure that whatever stress that we build up. So, two parts of this whole thing is the first thing is that all the energy that has been already created has to be used, and the second part is that we essentially have to change our perception to the stressors. And how does it happen? Is that something can really truly only stress us if there's already an existing trigger within us. So let me give you what example could I give? Is that I want to give some good examples here, but I'm not entirely sure of the example. Anyway, just okay. Like I've heard this example 1,000 times about sitting in the traffic and cutting off. I'm already tired of this example, but just for the sake of argument, I will just say it. Is that for the person to be stuck in the traffic, and really get stressed, the person only really can get that stressed if there's already an existing trigger of stressor. Usually it comes from some negative emotions already locked in, because that's another thing that I see very prevalent nowadays, is that we have so much inner negative emotions. We have so many things, so many pains that we're holding in, so many struggles, we have so many difficulties and challenges, and these things that we're clumping up. And what happens is this clumped energy within us, it creates internal conflict, and this internal conflict essentially also creates further stress. And then when already, that's the thing, when we already inside have all the, let's say, right environment for the flames of stress to just burn up, all it really takes is just a match, so to say. All it really takes is just one spark in some cases to light up this fire, because we internally already have these triggers, we already have these conditions which invite stress, so to say. And I'll be making more videos, plenty of more videos, how to deal with stress, more ways how to deal with stress and overcome it. But for now, in the sake of this topic and how stress impacts health, it affects badly. It creates illness. It truly creates illness. And that's, if I can leave a message for you all, and after this video, is to really, really pay attention. Pay attention to when you get stressed and the stress, and make sure that this stress is not, it doesn't stay chronically long-term within you, because it's going to lead to confusion. It's going to lead to different, it's going to lead you to all these lower states, all these states that really don't help us to move to our purpose, move in our life, but instead they force us to clump up, to experience all these doubts and fears. These very primal survival-based emotions will be operating more from the survival-based mentality when we are in a state of stress. And I'm truly sure that all of us here want to live happy, want to live happily. All of us truly want to grow, to move to our path, to move in our lives, to experience more, to achieve more, to live lives of happiness, of fulfillment. The stress, it takes us completely the opposite direction. As you know here, I'm here to help you make better educated decisions in your life. Thank you very much for the question. Very happy to get the chance to share these things with you. I'll be very much looking forward to the next question. See you in the next video.